Okay.
Okay, ready? Three, two, one. Going live.
Yep.
Okay, start us off.
Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? As we kick off this intro, we're going to be starting to share it all around the platform, so we're just trying to hold on for a second as we get it going. But welcome, if you guys are already here, to the Ty and CJ free agency live special, as we're going to be going over everything that's kind of happened already, everything that is soon to be coming, and we'll be continuing updating you with the latest news, predictions, information from Whoa Shams and Dropping Dimes 20. If you guys are on NBA Twitter, y'all know that story that happened yesterday. That was an insane run by him until they suspended him twice.
Yeah.
And now he's still tweeting, and we'll see if he happens to be right again after predicting the James Harden trade. We have a lot to talk about, and Steven is already in the chat, and so it's great to see that we have someone already here, and there's a lot to cover. Obviously, we'll be going over the latest news and info on Twitter, on Instagram, on all the information that we can find. We're going to be going over it, and we're going to be talking about what we think is going to happen, as free agency is still a handful of hours away from kicking off. Starts at 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So there's a lot that can happen in quite this span of time that we have before it kicks off. And that's just what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be covering it, and we're going to talk about what we think is going to happen. And I'm really excited to see what is going to happen. Luke D, welcome to the chat. How bad does your guys' Twitter feed? I mean, Steven, the Twitter feed is honestly one of the most crucial MVPs of the off season for sure. That's what I would say.
It's bad. You get swarmed.
Yeah, when Twitter feeds start going crazy and you have notifications popping off, it is definitely an app that you almost consider muting, to say the least. But that is not something that we're going to be doing here. We have a lot of news to cover. We're just going to kick it off going early. We'll kick it off with the biggest news that's happened so far is obviously James Harden, who I think was going to opt into his deal to try and continue his championship window. He opted in with hopes of getting traded, and the Clippers and Knicks are the two teams that are going to be interested in Harden. And Harden is optimistic he'll be traded to the LA Clippers to form a big three with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Connor, talking about this trade, what do you think the founding blocks will be in order for Harden to be sent off to the Clippers, and what are they going to have to do to acquire him?
Well, essentially, it's messed up, in my opinion. It's James Harden. If you're going to get James Harden traded, you should get an all-star in return. I mean, that's just my mantra, I guess, with it. And I think Daryl Morey is going to take his time if he does trade James Harden. But at the same time, I mean, right now, if it were to go to the Clippers, the foundation of it would be probably Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, Terrence Mann, and some picks maybe. And so it'd be a lot more of a depth filler for Philadelphia more than a star. But at the same time, if you're Philadelphia, I can see the benefit in doing that just because you get rid of a guy that takes away touches from Tyrese Maxey that can get, and now Tyrese Maxey can step into a role. Tobias Harris can step into that third scorer role. You've got the pieces to still contend in the East.
You do, and I think Tyrese Maxey's a guy who has some all-star caliber talent, especially Luke, you saw me at Joe's Mexican. Yeah, my girlfriend works there. I go there on a pretty occasional flow. But Tyrese Maxey's a guy who I think is someone that can continuously grow and get better. And his time with Philly that we've seen so far, he's been there for about 3 years now. We see how he continues to improve more and more every season. And if Harden is traded, whether to the Clippers or the Knicks, Maxey's going to end up getting more touches in this scenario. So the real winner in this trade is Tyrese Maxey, because he's a guy who I think can be an all-star level player. He has playmaking upside in the pick and roll and is a guy who loves to just go out there and score. He can get buckets from all three levels of the floor efficiently. He has a great bag of handles, and that's able to get by bigger defenders. He's able to finish around the rim over bigger defenders. I mean, Maxey his offensive game is all around complete. He's got a great jumper. He has a great handle. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Tyrese Maxey's offensive game, except for the fact that he can't dunk as much. And you know what? But he is 6'3", and you know what? Sometimes you need your 6'3" guys to go out there and just get buckets, and that's what Tyrese Maxey does.
And he plays fast. And that's the thing that you need.
Exactly.
You need someone to speed it up.
He knows how to control the pace. Yeah, he does. Tyrese Maxey knows how to control the pace from multiple levels. He can manage the game well. He's able to make the right read. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Tyrese Maxey's offensive game, and I think it's something that we can continue to see grow, especially as if Harden is traded, those touches are going to come more and more towards Maxey's direction, and it's something that's going to continue to improve more and more as time goes on, and it's going to be huge for the improvement of the Sixers because it sends them into a youth movement type of flow where they're going to let the younger guys take over, as Tyrese Maxey, as Joel Embiid is still pretty young. However, though, what does this mean? What could we expect from Joel Embiid if this continues to get worse into a situation where Embiid doesn't want to be in Philly anymore? I mean, They had Ben Simmons, they had James Harden, and they just haven't gotten it done. They haven't gotten past the second round. So,
well, I think everything has been to appease Joel Embiid. So, yeah. I mean, you trade Ben Simmons, you haul him over for James Harden, and that's exactly what Joel Embiid wanted. It's like when Damian Lillard was in Portland, still in Portland, he has say-so on every single trade that goes through.
Exactly.
That's what Joel Embiid, he has say-so on everything that goes through. So James Harden is not going to go without Joel Embiid being happy with the returning assets. So
absolutely. And when you give up a guy like James Harden who has a history, who can score at will, who has an MVP, I mean, a guy who can change the game from at any given moment, when you have to trade away and you know you're not going to get back a great return, because the Clippers are probably going to hold on to Paul George in any sort of deal that acquires James Harden for them. And so obviously that doesn't work out for Philly. It doesn't work out for Joel Embiid's liking. If this was a Paul George, James Harden type of trade, then Embiid would happily probably stay in Philly with everything that is going to be around for him. You know, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and what they have so far. We know Tobias Harris is on the open market. So if they obviously trade away James Harden, they're not probably going to get a stellar return, because teams aren't going to want to give up a huge package for a guy who is aging, who is past his prime almost completely, and a guy who isn't going to be playing as much meaningful basketball within maybe 2 to 3 years. And I have much respect for James Harden. I have much respect for his game. He really was one of the most fun players to watch a few years ago, and can still, on any given night, go out there and look like that Houston Harden that we remember once was. But ever since he's been traded to Brooklyn, to Philly, I mean, his touches have gone down, his efficiency has gone down. I mean, everything about him has gone down, and he's getting older.
He's playing with all-stars. I mean, he never really did that in Houston. I mean, you had Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook.
Is that Houston was his team. It wasn't Kevin Durant's team. It wasn't Kyrie Irving's team. It wasn't Joel Embiid's team. Houston Rockets was James Harden's team while he was there, and that's what made him so great. He got the touches. He was able to control the pace. He was able to play at his will. I mean, that's why Harden was scoring 60 on every other night. And gosh, that was fun to watch. But it hasn't happened since then, because he's not on a team where he can do it himself. And that's who James Harden is. He's a do-it-himself player.
Yeah, the biggest question that is going to be posed if James Harden goes to the Clippers is who's the best big three in the NBA now. We thought it was Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, but really, if you're healthy and you're the Clippers, you have the best big three in the league.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing with the Clippers through the past few years, is that they have struggled to stay healthy, and that's something that they haven't been able to do. Kawhi Leonard has had a history in the past few years of getting injured, and especially long-term. He's torn an ACL. He's just now torn a meniscus, so we don't know how long that'll keep him out for the start of the season. Who knows? Maybe it doesn't keep him out at all, but we could see certainly something happen. Paul George, I mean, he's been injured multiple times throughout the season. I mean, James Harden has been the most consistency player in regards to health. And so,
which is saying something.
Together, the big question is, how long can these guys stay healthy for? Because that's what you need from them. If they're trying to compete for a championship and they're trying to do it now, then they have to stay healthy.
Yeah, and how small is that window is the thing. because
I
that
think
window
it's
is going to be
because
small.
Kawhi just turned 32 yesterday. Paul George is what, 33? He's somewhere around that 32, 30. I mean, all of them are around this 32 to 30 age. I'm pretty sure Harden might be older. I mean, these guys are almost towards the ends of their careers. I mean, especially with the way that Kawhi has especially been getting injured and has a history. We may not see him in the next 3 years for all we know.
His injury history has not been good.
Exactly. And as you said, the window for this Clippers team, it was big whenever they traded for Kawhi and Paul George, because obviously Paul George had just come off an MVP caliber season with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Kawhi had just won the Finals MVP.
Yeah.
He had just took down the Golden State Avengers. So when they brought these two in, it's like, here's the window for the championship, and here it is now. I mean,
it's been narrowed.
They've struggled to find success in the playoffs. I mean, in the bubble, they blew a 3-1 lead to Denver. They couldn't stay healthy this year and lost to Phoenix. Who else did they lost in the Western Conference Finals to Phoenix that year? They went to the finals in 2021.
They lost to the Mavericks.
Exactly. And for the majority, guess who was out those series? Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Paul George, one of the two.
Exactly.
I mean, you have one on the court. Like when they went to the Western Conference Finals, they had
Paul George.
They had Paul George, and they went to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, you only need one of them to be stellar because they built the depth so well. But if you put James Harden and Paul George,
it is a well-built team.
If you put James Harden and Paul George, you're good.
Exactly. And I think bringing in James Harden, if you continue to run with the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard duo, and then add James Harden, it brings in the ball handler that the Clippers have needed for a while. Obviously, their best handlers have been Reggie Jackson. They've been Bones Highland as of this year. But the Clippers, and then Russell Westbrook, but they haven't had a true game-changing point guard, and that's what James Harden can bring. And I think that really puts this up another level, because Harden is a ball-dominant guard who could get 30 on any given night, but that takes away touches from Kawhi and Paul George. But here's the thing. From a defensive standpoint, if you're a team, you then obviously have to try and game plan for this. Who are you going to put your best defender on? Because realistically, James Harden is probably... Exactly, and just like Phoenix, yeah. And realistically, James Harden is probably the guy you want to put your best defender on. But then you're going to throw your second best defender on Kawhi Leonard?
And your
or
third best?
Your third best defender. You're going to throw your second or your third best defender on Kawhi Leonard and your second best defender on Paul George. Like, I mean, really, take your pick.
Yeah, you'd get cooked either way. It's going to happen.
And that's what made super teams so well known, starting obviously with the Golden State Warriors dynasty. It's just you couldn't stop it because you didn't have enough defensive talent to keep up with that. And that's what the James Harden to the Clippers could bring. We could see some sort of super team level offense because there just wouldn't be enough defensive standpoints to go about that team with James Harden, and we know what he can do on offense. Kawhi Leonard, when he's healthy, can go get you 30 every single night. And Paul George, when he's on a tear, he's nasty and can't be stopped. I mean, no one talks about Paul George as much as they used to, but Paul George can still play some pretty dang good basketball.
He can. I do agree with that. Paul George is a really good player, and that's why if I'm Sixers, I would insist on having Paul George in that trade. But it's just not going to happen most likely. I don't see them giving up PG for James Harden, even though it really be a smart move because of how healthy both of them have been compared to each other. James Harden has been the healthier one, which is rare to say. But I mean,
exactly.
It's what's been happening. But, I mean, honestly, you put those three on a court. It's kind of what happened in Brooklyn with James Harden, Kyrie, and KD. When you put those three on a court, you're going to win basketball games. But if you don't have all three of them, you're not going to win stuff.
You're not going to win basketball games.
Yeah, you're not going to win because you butcher your depth to trade for someone like that.
Exactly. And the Clippers managed to build up a pretty solidified roster from top to bottom. But obviously it started back in 2018 when the Clippers traded away Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 5 first-round picks for Paul George in a deal that, to this day, seems more that we should be calling it the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade because the Clippers haven't had any success, and the Thunder are slowly building a team that is going to be around for years to come. Obviously, with the young core they already have, Shai's a first-time All-Star. He's all-team, first NBA. And if the Clippers continue to maybe downfall and they don't win, if they don't find playoff success, and they trade away guys like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, or maybe they're just out of the league in a few years, those Thunder picks that they got from the Clippers that are unprotected and first rounders are going to hit like nothing else.
Yeah, they're gonna hit. That's for sure. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has already hit. You just made a lot of good plays really with that trade. And I mean, honestly,
Exactly.
the Clippers, it's not a complete lose. You still got Paul George coming off an MVP season. You can see the reason in trading for him. I mean, you only had to give up Danilo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then 5 first-round picks. So it was a lot, but at the same time, at that time, it was a great trade for both teams.
It was.
But now we're kind of looking at it in retrospect, and it's kind of like who won the Sixers-Nets trade between James Harden, because now he's leaving.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is still at the Nets. He could become an all-star again, maybe, if he gets past his back injuries. Seth Curry has had a decent career with the Nets.
Yeah, and I look at where the Nets are at now. They traded KD for Mikal Bridges, who I guarantee Mikal Bridges will be a first-time All-Star this season.
Yes.
Cam Johnson, his numbers improved across the board as soon as he was dealt to Brooklyn, and then they got a couple of picks. I mean, they got one of the greater young cores, especially with guys who have All-Star potential. And as you said, if Ben Simmons is able to move past his back injuries and just be somewhat of what he was in Philadelphia, that's going to be a good team, especially defensively. Ben Simmons is a 6'10" point guard who can guard the 1 through 5. Nick Claxton is Nick Claxton. Mikal Bridges has DPOY level talent. I mean,
he was a finalist when Marcus Smart won it.
Exactly. I mean, that team. That team can be great as it continues to move on, but especially if they got a somewhat healthy Ben Simmons, I mean, watch out for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, and then, I mean, imagine if you got a healthy Ben Simmons, played him at the point guard, and then brought Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench.
Yeah.
How good your second lineup would be. Cam Thomas off the bench.
Spencer. I forgot they brought back Spencer in the Kyrie Irving deal. And then Dorian Finney. I mean, like, the Brooklyn team is very well solidified. It's a solid roster from top to bottom. There's not really any holes. I mean, like, you guys, especially like shooting guard, as you said, Seth Curry. I mean, Cam Thomas had 3 40-point games in a row, and then they stopped giving him minutes.
Yeah, because that makes a lot of sense. You want to sit the guy that gives you 40 points.
Exactly. And it's something that can continue to grow, especially with Steve Nash out. I mean, their new head coach did a great job. I mean, they even made the playoffs without Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I mean, that was a team that whenever they traded everyone away, it seemed as if, oh, they're done. Who's going to take their spot in the playoffs? Nope. They still hung around, and they did a great job for what they had.
Yeah, agreed. Let's get to a little bit of this. So I'm going to name a free agent.
Okay.
And they're going to be unrestricted. And I want to see where you think they're going to go, and I'm going to see if I agree. Okay?
Okay.
Russell Westbrook.
I think he remains with the Clippers. It'll be a shorter-term deal, veteran minimum. But there's not really a lot of teams who need Westbrook right now, and it doesn't really fit with like younger teams' timeline. As a biased Spurs fan opinion, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the silver and black, but he's going to remain an LA Clipper, even if James Harden is heading his way over there as well.
Dark horse, though, so we can see this. I think a dark horse for Russell Westbrook could be the Phoenix Suns. I think they could go it because of what Bradley Beal said the other day. He said Russell Westbrook changed my game.
Yeah, I saw that.
I think he made a statement saying, hey, Russ, come back. Come on.
Yeah. It's not impossible because, I mean, the Suns are now in a point to where they need to sign players for veteran minimums. And Westbrook is a guy who's probably not going to get a lot of money. He's 34, but he can still play some pretty serviceable basketball. I mean, we saw what he did in the first round against Phoenix, and he did a pretty good job. He really did. For him being one of the only, like, main foundations of that Clippers team in the first round, I mean, he did a great job. He was scoring efficiently on every night. He was playmaking extremely well. He was controlling the game. Westbrook still has a lot to offer, and we saw as soon as he left the Lakers, look at how he started thriving.
Yeah, I mean, he thrived as soon as he got away from a ball-dominant player in LeBron James. I mean, when he got the ball back in his hands, that's how Russell Westbrook thrived. So I think people are saying, oh, he's over, he's done. He's not.
He's not. He's not.
It's just that simple. He's not done. It's still Russell Westbrook. You just got to get him back into where he feels comfortable and confident in his ability. And that's why I think if you bring in Russell Westbrook, if you're the Clippers, you get James Harden and you run a lineup like that and don't bring him off the bench, you will be insane. You
think they'll run where it's like Russ at the 1, Harden at the 2, PG at the 3, and Kawhi at the 4?
That'd be ideal. Why not?
I mean, I think Westbrook would come off the bench just to be the holding points of the second unit, because obviously if they trade for Harden, it'll be a couple of depth pieces given away, so they'll need someone who's going to be able to control the second unit. But I wouldn't be shocked if they played that 1 through 4. But I think Westbrook will come off the bench for the Clippers.
I mean, if I'm Russell Westbrook, I think I'm Russell Westbrook, I'm waiting to see what happens with James Harden.
Yeah.
Because if I'm him, I'm not going to sign with the Clippers if James Harden goes there. That's just not what I'm going to do, because I don't want a backup role if you're him.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, this is probably not the most reliable source, but the Dropping Dimes dude yesterday, who got suspended twice, said that Westbrook was going to wait and hold out and see what's going to happen with Harden and D'Angelo Russell and someone else, maybe Fred VanVleet, I can't remember. But he was right once, so I'm not going to fully credit his sources.
Yeah, you never know.
It's very suspicious. The dude called one of the bigger free agency moves hours before it happened, then went viral and got suspended not once but twice.
Yeah.
So it's certainly a little suspicious, like wondering, who is this guy? Where did he come from? What's his background? I mean, my opinion, it's got to be a burner account of a GM, or it's like some GM's kid.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so next free agent is going to be Draymond Green. We've talked about this before.
My prediction, I think he's going. I think he'll be a LA Laker. My gut wants to say Lakers, but I think they're going to focus a lot on trying to bring back the young guys that they have, such as Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, and possibly even D'Angelo Russell. So I'm not going to be shocked to see him have a Warriors return. Obviously, they just traded away Jordan Poole, and obviously we all know the incident where Draymond Green assaulted Jordan Poole to start the season.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Obviously, trading that away. I mean, Draymond is a very locker room present guy. What he does off the court is honestly as valuable as he does on the court, because he's a mentor. He plays winning basketball. You don't need him to even get 10 points every night. But he's going to go out there. He's going to do his thing in the rebound column, in the playmaking column. On the defensive end, Draymond Green has, 2 Defensive Player of the Years? Yeah. So Draymond Green is obviously a guy that you don't need to score, but he's a guy who's going to help you win basketball. And I think Draymond Green is just as valuable to the Warriors as Steph Curry is. So
yeah, I mean, he brings the championship DNA. I mean, that's just what he does. And that's what he does day in, day out. That's why Damian Lillard went on the record saying, my ideal scenario would be Jeremy Grant and Draymond Green signing with us. And so a dark horse for them, I think, would be Portland, because they can offer him most likely more money and to play with a guy like Damian Lillard, who needs to kind of take the step that Steph has already taken. Because you remember back in the day, they were compared to each other. I mean,
exactly.
They were like, who's better, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry? Now it's not even a conversation, because Steph Curry has 4 rings. So, I mean, it's kind of like when we compared LeBron and KD.
If you take the rings out of the achievement, I think you can have a comparison talent-wise, because, I mean, they play so similarly. But, I mean, obviously Steph is the number 1 point guard in this league, and it's not even a conversation. But
still,
Damian Lillard is
at 35.
He's not far behind, but he's not close.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry is the top of the top, and I think it's purely because of his off-ball movement and the system that Golden State has built around him, Draymond Green.
I clowned Golden State when they traded for Chris Paul. But realistically, if you're going to start Chris Paul as your lead ball handler and you're going to let Steph play the 2 the entire season, imagine how that could work.
It would be insane because who has been the point guard really for the Golden State Warriors? It's been Draymond Green. He's been a point forward. And so he's done all the distribution. One of the best distributors to ever play the game is Chris Paul.
Absolutely. And now you bring in that distributor, and you're going to let Steph Curry and Draymond Green hold down their end of the offensive basket on to set up plays. I mean, if Draymond Green and Steph Curry are in the front court rather than bringing up the ball, like imagine what that's going to do for the Warriors. That's going to create so many opportunities. Steph Curry is going to move off ball like we have never seen before this season. And it's going to be a huge change in the Warriors offense because Chris Paul is going to get that play set up.
He is. I mean, 100%. They're going to run a little more sets for Steph instead of, and Chris Paul has to work on his spot up ability because of how much Steph and Clay are going to attract attention. I mean, we can say the same thing we've been saying about the other big threes. I mean, you're going to put your third best defender on Chris Paul or your fourth best defender because of Andrew Wiggins.
If I'm Steve Kerr, bet. Chris Paul, you got the fourth best defender, go get 20 a night.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul hasn't done it since the Clippers, really, but, I mean, he can. He's shown that he can do it, obviously, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I think he's old, but at the same time, he's so polished that if he sees disrespect and that he's guarded by a fourth defender, he'll take advantage.
Chris Paul's one of the smartest players in the game. He is.
He knows when to score. He knows when to pass. He is going to score the ball when a fourth best defender is on him. And a fourth best defender against a Hall of Fame point guard like Chris Paul is just, they're not going to be happy with that production.
Absolutely. They're not going to be happy. Like, as you said, they're not going to be happy about it because they obviously, Chris Paul's a very smart player. He knows how to take advantage of the game from the offensive perspective. I mean, he can really take over in any way given. Chris Paul's a unbelievable playmaker. He knows how to create shots for his teammates. And he's going to a team that's been known to create shots for other players. So
yeah, it's known for that.
It's going to be huge.
I think he perfectly fit. I don't know if it's going to be in a bench role or if it's going to be in a starting role, but he perfectly fits how Golden State wants to play.
I think it's going to be a starting role. I
hope it is because, I mean, imagine you kick out Kevon Looney. Even though we love Kevon Looney, you kick him out. You play Draymond at the 5, Andrew Wiggins at the 4, Klay Thompson at the 3, and then the 2 Hall of Fame point guards. And we talked about the death lineup of Jordan Poole in the starting lineup. Think about that lineup with Chris Paul.
Yeah, and obviously Chris Paul doesn't have nearly as much of a scoring capability as Jordan Poole does, and it's really interesting to see what caused them to let him go as early as they did after signing him to a long-term deal. But this could really work out in Golden State's favor. It really could. When you let Chris Paul, who, as you said, one of the best distributors in the game, control the offense for a team who is known to create off-ball shots, and you have the greatest shooter of all time, just think about it. I mean, realistically, it's going to be a amazing setup because they're going – what Draymond and Steph do already, they're going to get to do it on every single play.
Yeah,
they really are.
Brian Windhorst just reported Clippers are looking to create a big 3 and not involve PG in the trade.
Yeah, that's what I've expected. I think that we've heard a little bit about that and how they're going to try and make sure that they keep Paul George to form that big 3.
Which just solidifies what we've been saying. They're not going to give him up. But Daryl Morey's asking for it, though. That's the thing that I like, is at least he's asking for it. He's not settling for something.
Yeah. I mean, we know how Daryl Morey trades. He's the type of guy who can overprice guys. Especially, we all saw the Tobias Harris reports that he was asking for Evan Mobley, Jared Allen in a first, but you're not going to get that for Tobias Harris, dude. You're not going to.
No, you're not. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get that for Joel Embiid, maybe. It'd be hard to get that for Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
But okay, so next free agent, Kyle Kuzma. This is an interesting one.
I've heard a lot about Kyle Kuzma. I've heard that he could potentially maybe look at the Rockets. We've heard that he might be going to the Sacramento Kings, but obviously they extended Harrison Barnes to a 3-year deal last night. So I don't really know where Kyle Kuzma is going to go. He doesn't really have a favorite team that he's going to land with. I think he'll land with a team who really has more of this young feel, young generation movement to where they're going to be pushing for youth. And I think that could be something we see him do in Houston. Per Chris Haynes, it's going to say that the Rockets are a strong suitor for Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
That's one of the highest reported options for him.
If I'm Kyle Kuzma, I think what I've seen from reports, the top options are going to be the Rockets, obviously, because they just have the most cap space to throw at someone. They have $66 million in cap space last time I saw.
Exactly.
They or the Pacers. The Pacers are an option.
I could see that.
Or the Sacramento Kings. And I think the Kings can still sign him. I think they still have the money. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they still have the money, even after the Harrison Barnes. But I think they just signed Harrison Barnes to play more of a bench role and to lead scoring off the bench. And
they're giving him like $18 million a year, so that might be a little bit of an overpay for Harrison Barnes. But if it depends, like if you really value him to do more on and off the court, if you value him as a leadership perspective, if you value him as a guy who can keep the game under control on the court. I mean, the Sacramento Kings team was obviously the biggest surprise to everyone this year.
Yeah, 3 seed.
Hashtag light the beam. Obviously, they were the biggest surprise that no one really expected to see this year. And so now they have to continue this movement. But they've got a core that can continue thriving. De'Aaron Fox, Keegan
Domantas
Murray.
Sabonis.
Exactly. Kevin Huerter did really well throughout the course of the season.
Monk
I know he did.
Was awesome.
Malik Monk was great. Hashtag Arkansas Blood.
Yes.
And, this is a team that has some great young talent that can continue to develop. And if they want to add more to it, then they absolutely should. Let's go ahead and look at the Sacramento cap space tracker to see how much they have remaining after this deal with Kyle Kuzma. Because, like I said, it's somewhere around $18 million for this deal. But if you value Kuzma, if you value Harrison Barnes that much in order for you to make sure you continue winning basketball games, because what he does more on and off the court, it's important. Okay, so we're looking at a $16 million contract for Harrison Barnes regarding the new deal that he signed last night. So, and they have a lot of players who are going into free agency. But a lot of guys that they really could let walk if they wanted to. Jeremy Lamb is leaving as he was on a bigger deal. Jeremy Lamb was on a $15.7 million contract. Terrence Davis was on a $7.6 million. Alex Lim was on a $5 million. Trey Lyles on a $3.4. And then a lot of the other bench fillers, guys that we haven't seen get a lot of playing time for them. So there's going to be a handful of cap space for them to spend. De'Aaron Fox is on their largest deal at $32 million. Domantas at $22. And I don't think he has much longer left on his deal, so they'll be looking to extend him next year, I think.
Yeah, the extension talks are going to start with Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, we could see extension talks starting this offseason as he is on the last year of his deal at a guaranteed $19.4 million.
Which is really low for a player like him.
Yes. And also, Harrison Barnes' $64 million was fully guaranteed. Ooh. So we need to make sure we keep that in our tracker. I forgot Davion Mitchell is on this team as well. Yeah. But they obviously are going to have some cap space to spend.
They also have the player exception when they traded Rashawn Holmes, which is $12 million.
Exactly. I mean, their current cap space projection right now is negative 23. But if I can get an active tracker for everyone else, go ahead and take a look at that, because I'm not really sure how to find the active projection tracker, but I see what they have right now, because there's a lot of projections out that I don't really know where to follow it at. But I think Sacramento could be a team to sign Kyle Kuzma, but he is wanting maybe upwards of 20 to 30 million a year. There's not a lot of teams who can do that. Teams that can do that are the Spurs and the Rockets. That's about it. And I wanted Kyle Kuzma, but as soon as he said he wanted $30 million, I was opting out.
Yeah.
Of that player option.
I mean, I want him back in the Wizards gear. I mean, I think you put him. I mean, it's not a far off idea. I don't think it's going to happen, but I mean, him, Bilal Coulibaly, Jordan Poole, it'd just be a fun group. It resembles kind of the Brooklyn Nets with D'Angelo
Yeah.
Russell and how
Just
young
a young
they were.
team with some young players.
Yeah, just a young team with a star point guard. Well, I don't know if he's going to play point guard. He might play shooting guard. But
I
Jordan
think he'll play
Poole,
point.
well, we got Tyus Jones as well, so I don't know how we're going to play them both together. But I'm a Wizards super fan, even though I'm wearing a Thunder jersey. So I think we could even bring him back and just see what happens. Obviously, we trusted him to come over and do his thing from the Lakers. We traded Russell Westbrook for him. I mean,
His numbers went up across the board as soon as you guys traded for him.
exactly. So, I mean, I could see a sign and trade for sure. I think he would give us that benefit, at least to get an asset back
That is
for
not
him.
unlikely by any means. It's not.
And I think if you're smart and you play your cards right, I think you could sign and trade him to the Kings for Davion Mitchell. Maybe. I hope.
You guys have a lot of point guards as it is, though. I just don't see that being
I
an
love
option.
Davion Mitchell, though. His game is awesome.
But the Kings love Davion Mitchell because what he can do, especially defensively.
Yeah, his
He'll get you
defense is
15
insane.
points a night. But defensively, his rotations are solidified. He is an exceptional defensive player. He knows how to rotate throughout the floor. He has great anticipation, knows how to make the right read defensively, especially on the double team. I mean, Davion Mitchell's defensive game reminds me of Cason Wallace / Cason Wallace reminds me of Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. I mean, his defense is insane, and I think, honestly, you should trade, and this is a little bit of a take, but you should trade Kevin Huerter and let Davion Mitchell play the 2. And kind of
That's not impossible.
play De'Aaron Fox and Davion Mitchell, because defensively you get so much better by that. Kevin Huerter is a good defender, don't get me wrong. But Davion Mitchell, they literally called him Off Night. That was his nickname for forever. It still is. Because he can make your best player have an off night. And
I hope my desk is moved. They're about to start doing construction on my house.
yeah. But I think,
All the equipment is down there, too. Oh, boy.
yeah. I think the Kings are in a good spot. They have their core back. They have
They do.
the cap space to go get someone to add to their core like a Kyle Kuzma. They're in a very good spot. You want to talk about a team also that's in a good spot, in my opinion, even though there's rumors surrounding them, is the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas
Absolutely.
Mavericks are in a very, very good spot. They got off the contract of Davis Bertans. Perfect. You
Yep.
needed to do that. You got Rashawn Holmes, who was a very, very good big man for the Sacramento Kings before DeMontis
And he's
Sabonis got
still
traded
pretty
there.
young, if I'm wrong. If
Yeah,
I'm correct.
he's
I'm
still
sure
pretty
he's
young.
still-
I think 26 maybe. I mean,
Oh, wow.
here, let me check Siri. How old is Rashawn Holmes? He is 1993. What does that make him?
I have no idea. I can't do
30.
that.
Oh my God, that's 30.
He's 30?
Makes him
Okay.
30.
So-
also, we just got our first trade.
We have a trade?
Yep, Indiana Pacers are nearing a trade, sending Chris Duarte to the Sacramento Kings for draft compensation.
No way.
That's a steal for the Kings.
Chris Duarte?
That is a steal for the Kings.
That is huge. Because Chris Duarte was solid.
He is solid. He is a very good player. But that also precursors, he's a shooting guard. You already have Malik
Exact-
Monk. You already have Kevin Huerter. So what is happening there? Someone's going to get moved. Because obviously you trade for Chris Duarte, you're going to play him.
Let me see. I don't think any of them are on expiring deals. So obviously you got to ask, as you said, what's going on there? Is someone about to get moved? Are they going to do some sort of deal? But let me see. I know Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter are both on deals that are going to be expiring not for a while. Malik Monk is going on the last year of his contract with 9.9 guaranteed. Kevin Huerter has $50 million guaranteed over the next few years. So Huerter's locked in for a minute.
I think what probably you're going to see happen is you give Kevin Huerter up and you use the cap space to sign Kyle Kuzma. I think
Yeah,
that's
'cause obviously
probably what they're going
with-
for.
With trading for Duarte, he's on a rookie deal, and he's a shooting guard who can shoot the three efficiently.
Yeah, and he's older. He's like 25. So he's got a little more experience. I mean, he played all 4 years, I'm pretty sure, at college.
Exactly. And Chris Duarte has some great off-ball tendencies. I mean, I haven't really gotten to watch a lot of Indiana Pacers basketball. I don't think anyone has gotten to.
No.
Because they're just not a team that's not getting coverage, even though they have some great young pieces. No one just hasn't really gotten a chance to watch a lot of Indiana Pacers basketball, including myself. And from the little I know about him, he is tough. He's nice. He's a young player. He goes in and fits with the Sacramento Kings timeline. And obviously, as you said, what is going to happen to someone like Kevin Huerter or Malik Monk if this continues to develop into what it could be? As I said, Kevin Huerter's on a $15 million contract, so we could see that be involved in some sort of, as you said, potentially Washington Wizards sign and trade deal.
Yeah, I mean,
as we could see all this,
Wizards could just open this up into a 3-team deal and get Chris Duarte. That wouldn't be a bad idea. It would not, because I mean, the Wizards would like a little draft compensation, a little Chris Duarte action, because he's young. I mean, he's only 24, 25. I mean, that's a good piece to have on any team, even if you're wanting to contend. He's still old enough to play experienced basketball, and he's still young enough to be a future asset.
Absolutely. Okay, this is not free agency news, but ESPN has let go of Jeff Van Gundy from the broadcast team.
Whoa. Whoa. Jeff Van Gundy, he is like part of the trio.
That's weird.
That's very weird. Mike Breen, him, and Mark Jackson?
Yeah.
And that's... Wow. Okay.
I
did see the rumor... What?
This is like free agent news in itself.
Yeah, I did see the rumor that he was going to be an assistant coach to the Mavericks. So maybe that's why. But honestly, I mean, I don't like the guy. I think he plays a character.
They're not like, he's not like leaving. They're firing him.
I mean, if they put it out saying he's fired, then that's pretty abrupt. He must have done something bad. Maybe he is the account that we've been seeing.
No, this is like ESPN. Like Andrew Markhand is reporting it first.
No, what I'm saying is maybe he's that little account that you're talking about.
Yo, hold on.
Oh, I see it though. NBA Central. ESPN has let go of Jeff Van Gundy.
That's got to be him.
Wow.
I mean, like, he's been fired. So
16 years with the network.
I mean, this is like a free agent breaking news in itself.
Yeah. I mean, the dude is a legit commentator. Like, he has done a good job. No one said he's done anything wrong. I mean,
people love Jeff Van Gundy.
He plays a great character.
He does.
Wow. I didn't like that. I think that's bigger news than the freaking Chris Duarte trade.
ESPN has let go of Jeff Van Gundy and 22 other broadcasters in an effort to save millions of dollars.
22?
They let go of 22 broadcasters.
Okay, we got to look at this list.
Okay, so Jeff Van Gundy is not the account. He's not dropping dimes, as they've let go of 22 broadcasters to save millions of dollars for ESPN. I mean, ESPN is a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah, I think that's an excuse.
Not just like 7 figures, but like 8, 9 figures.
I mean, ESPN is ESPN. Like, it's the biggest in the world.
I don't think that's gonna last for long, unless he goes to TNT. Well, that sucks.
I don't like that. I really don't like that move. I mean, I think it makes no sense. Like, to let go of him, there had to be something.
I thought it was something like he did something bad, but obviously they've let go of 22 other broadcasters. So,
also, what I just saw is so Chris Duarte is on a $4.1 million deal. He would have been
Sam Chris Duarte has just been traded to the Sacramento Kings for draft capital. We're still waiting to see what the full details of this trade are. But as we know right now, it's just Chris Duarte is being sent into the Sacramento Kings for draft compensation. And we're trying to piece together how this could not be the first move that Sacramento is going to make with what they have on their roster and what the rumors are surrounding them. But Chris Duarte has been sent to the Sacramento Kings for draft compensation or nearing a trade. So
what I'm seeing is future second-round picks is what I'm seeing.
Okay.
And cap space. So they're getting off he has a 2-year, $10 million contract. So they're getting off of that. So they just freed up basically $10 million, possibly to go after Kyle Kuzma. That could be their move.
Yeah. And if they end up sending possibly away Kevin Huerter, who's on a $50 million contract over the next couple of years, we could see how this continues to pan out, how this could not be the first move that Sacramento is going to make. I think we could see Sacramento be aggressive. Obviously, Mike Brown has come in and brought in a winning mentality to that locker room.
For the first time in 20 years.
I mean, the whole atmosphere of that and landscape of that franchise has changed. So I think right now, of all times, you have to capitalize on what you have done and capitalize on how you need to move forward with your future, because obviously you took the defending champs to 7. They had a good series, but you have to keep on improving from here. You have to continue adding talent. You need to, and you can't just hope that talent that you have already is going to develop. It will. It absolutely will.
It will.
There's some
100%.
talent on there that can already continue to play good basketball and will develop from what they already have. But you have to capitalize on a young, exciting team, on players who are actually maybe willing, good talent, top talent that is possibly actually willing to go to Sacramento for the first time in nearly 20 years. You have to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. And, I mean, the line that you have to walk if you're the Sacramento Kings, which is the hardest line to walk in basketball, is you were the 3 seed. So you don't want to give up your entire core. You don't want to say, well, we did so good, let's give up Malik Monk, let's give up Kevin Huerter, let's go in all in. Well, you want to keep some pieces. But you also want to add pieces so that your ceiling isn't a 3 seed next season. So that you can go to that 1 seed. You can go farther.
You want to raise your ceiling, and you also want to raise your floor.
Yeah, you want to raise your floor, 100%. I mean, in my opinion, if you added Kyle Kuzma, and this is chemistry issues aside, if you added Kyle Kuzma to that team that played in the 7-game series with Golden State, it wouldn't have been a 7-game series. I don't think so. I think the Kings would have won that, and then they would have had a really good shot against the Lakers.
The better team. They were the better team in that series, but Sacramento has something to build off of. I mean, I picked Golden State to win it in 6, and then Steph Curry had literally 50 points in Game 7. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it was an astronomical game from Steph Curry.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. There was peak basketball from Stephen Curry. But
absolutely,
if you're the Kings and you had Kyle Kuzma, that doesn't really matter. He can drop his 50, and I think they would have had a really, really good shot because they had all the momentum to beating the Lakers in the next round. They wouldn't have beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets would have stomped them. But
the Nuggets would have stomped anyone.
Yeah, the Nuggets would have stomped anyone. They stomped the Lakers, who had all the momentum. The Nuggets could
have played every team combined, and they probably still would have stomped them.
I think the only team they wouldn't have stomped would have been the healthy Sixers, because Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic would have been going at it, and it would have been awesome.
That's also true. I also believe that they wouldn't have been able to stop potentially the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yes, well, even though Miami did it themselves, but I don't think they could have either. I agree. I don't think think Aaron Gordon could have stopped Giannis.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about Milwaukee's injury struggles though, and how they had their issues. So, I mean, there was a lot that Milwaukee was dealing with, but it doesn't excuse them from Jimmy Butler absolutely dominating that series.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Butler just went at it. And they didn't have Chris Middleton. As you said, the injuries played a huge role. Their defense was not anything to scoff at. And that's the weirdest thing ever because their defense just turned off come playoff time. And they were the best defensive team, I think, in the NBA in the regular season. They had Drew Holiday, Giannis, and Brook Lopez, who were all 3 DPOY candidates at one time in their careers. So I don't understand how that just turned off and Jimmy Butler's allowed to do whatever he wants. But
yeah,
at the same time, we've got 10 minutes left. We've talked for 50 minutes straight. Look at us.
Yeah. And I think you might have already said something about this, but the Pacers are now up to $36 million in cap space, which gives them the ability to sign maybe one of the bigger free agents with the core that we could see potentially grow as they got Jarris Walker, as they have Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner.
Just wait till they trade Buddy Hield and see how much cap space they have.
Absolutely.
Which, if I'm the Sixers, and there's any deal you're ever going to take for Tobias Harris, it's going to be Buddy Hield, T.J. McConnell, and Daniel Tice for Tobias Harris. That'd be a perfect, ideal trade.
I mean,
if
Buddy
you were to
Hield,
offload him.
really fills in that role that Tobias Harris was, a shooter.
Yeah, what Tobias Harris was asked to do and did not perform at all times is shooting the 3-ball.
Exactly. And Buddy Hield is one of the most consistent 3-point shooters in the game and can go get like 6 3-pointers a night.
Oh my. It's like when you put Seth Curry and Danny Green on the court. I still think that's the best roster that the Sixers have had in recent years. Is when they had Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias, and Joel Embiid. That was the best starting lineup they've had in years.
I think you could argue, though, that whenever they had Ben, Jimmy, Tobias, and Embiid.
And J.J. Redick. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I could argue that, but at the same time, I just feel like, in the let's say 5 years, I don't think that's happened since, that was 2018, 2019, I think.
Yeah.
So their most recent team,
season.
I think it's easily the better team than a Harden team because Ben Simmons was playing good basketball.
That team is much better than the James Harden team.
Yeah, Seth Curry was dominating from 3 because of how many looks he was getting from Joel Embiid.
Absolutely.
And they messed it all up because they just got Harden. Honestly.
Absolutely.
If they would have kept Seth Curry in that trade.
The front office has been able to capitalize on trades, but they haven't kept players that have won them basketball games. I mean, we all know the famous Tobias Harris over me. I mean, like, seriously.
Yes, 100%. And I agree with that completely.
Now, if they had chosen Jimmy Butler.
And they make you can't say this at all about Philly. They make amazing trades. They do. Daryl Morey is perfect at making trades. He turned Danny Green into DeAnthony Melton. Like, absolutely. That's perfect. He turned Ben Simmons, who was hating being there and did not want to play, into James Harden. So,
and but now, the pieces that go with James Harden into?
Exactly. The pieces that go with it, though, is what kills him. He always gives up a piece that people want so badly because it has helped them win basketball games, like in the James Harden trade. He gave up Seth Curry, Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond was arguably the best backup big man in the game. And Seth Curry...
At that time,
And Seth Curry was dominating from 3. And he was the perfect counterpart to Joel Embiid.
Catch and shoot it up.
Yeah. So he got rid of Ben Simmons, yes, but he also got rid of 2 guys that were helping you win basketball games. So is he going to do that again by giving up people with James Harden?
We'll see. Could we see some sort of James Harden Tobias Harris package, or potentially some 3-team facilitator that takes on Tobias Harris in this deal?
I would love to see a freaking James Harden Tobias Harris for Paul George, but it won't probably happen. But I would love to see, if they did do a 3-team deal, I could see the Jazz coming in possibly to take Tobias Harris away and maybe giving up John Collins and Jordan Clarkson, maybe, because Jordan Clarkson did opt into his player option, which means he's most likely going to be traded because I don't see him fitting their core right now. So I could see Jordan Clarkson, maybe even Colin Sexton, entering into that conversation.
Yeah, we really could see it. Also, ESPN has also let go of Jalen Rose in this
Okay, I don't disagree with that. I don't like Jalen Rose.
I mean, he's better than Kendrick Perkins.
That's very true. You keep Kendrick Perkins, you get rid of Jalen Rose.
Perkins? Someone please tell me they've let go of Kendrick Perkins in this deal.
He was late to work. I was watching NBA Today, and he did not, he was supposed to show up in the studio and did not show up. The man does what he wants. Yep, Jalen Rose, I just saw it. Wow.
We're going to see more and more come out about this analyst rebrand, I guess. I mean, I don't really know how to put it. I mean, or analyst financial decisions. I don't know.
So it says he's part of the high-profile layoffs.
The Heat and Cavs have discussed a sign-and-trade involving Max Strus.
Oh, who cares?
I mean, Max Strus is... When he shows up, he shows up. I mean, he struggled in the finals a little, but he had a few. I mean, he struggled throughout the course of the finals, but had a few games where he made an impact and helped consistently. Especially, I mean, like game 2, he had 15 points in the first quarter, and that was really one of the biggest factors for the get-go on letting Miami get that game 2 win. Yes, it didn't matter as it was Raps in 5, but it's the fact that they were able to get that done. Max Strus is a guy I like. I really like what he can do. He can catch and shoot. He lights it up. I mean, he's reliable. He's just a shooter. And sometimes, a lot of teams, sometimes you just need a shooter. It's that. Yeah. It's simple as that. Sometimes you just need a guy who can shoot the ball. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. They needed a small forward for sure.
You know who's on that team, though? Karis LeVert.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily because he's a free agent. So...
Is he?
Yeah, he's a free agent.
I didn't know he was.
Yeah, he's a free agent, so I assume... all signs point to him going back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
So, I'd assume he goes back, of course.
Cleveland's an interesting team we need to keep the eye on because they continue to report that they might be trading their stars.
Yeah, according to Brian Windhorst.
We keep seeing reports that they might be onto something, which is weird because Cleveland is in a great spot. And if I'm the Cavs GM, I'm not breaking up what I already have. And I'm certainly not trading away my all-star proven players like Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Jarrett Allen had an all-star appearance, but it was also because half the East team was injured. But yeah. Jarrett Allen is still a semi-all-star caliber player. I don't want to break up what I already have. The first guy out the door for me is either going to be Karis LeVert or Jarrett Allen because Jarrett And for him, I mean, he's on a Rudy Gobert level deal where it's he's getting paid a lot, but he's going to go get 10 points and 10 rebounds and maybe 2 blocks. So maybe if you can even if you can just restructure that deal at the very least, the Cavs are in a great position. They are. They just need to figure it. They need to figure it out down the postseason stretch and figure out what they need to do to continue having playoff success because this is a team that could absolutely have playoff success. Well, I mean, they're talented across the board.
In my opinion, the best move that you can make if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, and this is a straight up Connor Jenkins take, is trading Jarrett Allen for an experienced wing and then a decent power forward. And then sliding Evan Mobley to the center position.
Yeah.
That would be the best move you can make. Because Evan Mobley has to be your third best player. He has to take that step.
Absolutely.
You cannot restrict him to the fourth best role. When he is this young and so talented on both ends of the floor, he has to take the step this year.
Absolutely. You need him to get more touches. You need him to be, as you said, the third best player on your team. And Evan Mobley has so much upside. He has two-way elite upside and someone that needs, as you said, to be the third-plus player on that Cavs team behind Mitchell, Garland, and then him. And we could see, and if he gets more touches, we'll see his value skyrocket.
Yes. I mean, 100%. I mean, with more touches comes more points and comes more minutes. And, I mean, the sky's the limit with Evan Mobley because we haven't seen him be that number 2, number 3 option yet. We really haven't.
Absolutely not. We're seeing him as a 4.
Yes, we're seeing him as a 4, which, as we've seen with Tobias Harris, you're not going to get a lot of production from a 4th option when they don't think they're a 4th option.
And people can make an argument he's the 4th option. He should be doing great. When you're the 4th option on a team with three other all-star caliber players, it's going to be hard for you to get production. It's going to be hard for you to produce in a team where you're behind other guys, because Evan Mobley is.
He is, ultimately, and that's where it's the same situation, in my opinion, that the Philadelphia 76ers are in. You get rid of James Harden, Tyrese Maxey takes a step. For the Cavs, though, it's you get rid of Jared Allen, Evan Mobley takes the step.
Absolutely.
I think that's the perfect move.
It is. It really is. Because Evan Mobley has so much elite upside defensively. He can be one, I think in my opinion, one of the better two-way players in this league. I want to see his offensive game. Obviously, that'll improve as he gets more touches if Jared Allen happens to be out the door. But Evan Mobley is someone I'm super high on, and someone that I think you shouldn't give up on this early in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Yep. I mean, that's done it for our hour.
Yeah, that's fast. So it was fun. But I'm excited.
It's gonna be a great day. I know we're gonna be texting back and forth all day.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. First of all, for my channel, real quick, I know it obviously wasn't the most productive, interactive stream for sure, but obviously I want to thank everyone for this time that I was in, as my whole computer was erased, and when I'm back, so. And obviously, I'm back to. I'm gonna make a video today. I'm gonna make a full video today about my free agency predictions. It's gonna be short. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be fun. I've got the thumbnail ready. But you're gonna see a lot of more work from me and Connor, as we're both going to the University of Arkansas. We're both pursuing the same dream, and we're gonna be doing a lot of work together through these next couple years. I mean, we have podcast ideas. We have so many things that we want to be executing, and we're gonna be working together a lot. And it's gonna be fun. So this is just a warm-up to see how this is going to go, and it's just a coverage show. And this idea was going to be so much bigger, but so many other things came up.
Yeah,
prevented us
it was going to be a 3-hour special.
Much better idea.
Yep.
So,
but we got it in. We got an hour and 1 minute. I mean, I think it was great. People can go back and watch it. I mean, we had a good conversation about it, and this is just the start of it.
Absolutely. So, for everyone who tuned in, I want to thank you guys for spending your morning with us here. And we're going to be covering so much more free agency news. If we can get some time tonight, obviously, that's when more of the breaking news will be occurring. So, if we can get some time tonight, we may even hop back on here, as there's going to be probably so much more to talk about for the free agency frenzy special.
Yep, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch Malika Andrews, maybe even Through the Wire, cover it all.
Absolutely. So to everyone who joined us this morning, thank you guys for spending your time with us. Obviously, go follow Connor. I think I've tweeted him out, but I'll make sure to put all of his socials somewhere down below, and make sure that you guys can go drop him a follow, because he does some great stuff. He's blessed me with a lot of opportunities. A lot of the things that I'm going to be starting up soon, I wouldn't have happened to me without his help. So it's obviously a huge thanks to him for what he's doing for my life and where we're going to be going with our next steps. So thank you to everyone who tuned in this morning. Obviously, if you guys aren't subscribed, make sure you hit that button. About 97% of my viewers who watch the videos are not subbed, so let's make sure we can raise that number a little bit more. Not raise it, but lower it. So drop the like, hit that post notification bell so you never miss when we upload, go live, or whatever we do here on Tide Talk Sports. And until next time, everyone, this is me and Connor. We're signing off, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
And live stream. Ended it.
Live stream.